for a cause like Reach. And I know Panditji would have been very happy because remember the most important concert that he gave in his life, as he himself said, was the one in which he raised funds for the Bangladeshi refugees. So the man really was essentially, as a human being, the music is divine, but the man is human. If you are a writer, you have to come up with your own ideas, right? And it's an interpretation. It's not the man.
Welcome to this podcast, Dr. Gowri Ramnarayan. We're so happy to have you here with us, and wanted to just talk to you about your latest production, Enchantment. And what I want to know is that why is it called Enchantment?
That's a wonderful question. A lot of people have asked me. Enchantment, you know what it means. And I honestly think that the most enchanting performing musician of India, at least in my lifetime, has been Pandit Ravi Shankar. He is the eternal Krishna of the Indian music world. So I thought Enchantment was a perfect name for it.
So when you called it Enchantment and also the whole production, how did you, I would say that's quite a bold venture, bold endeavor to do, because this is a famous personality, not just as a musician and his private life, public life. So much has been written about it. So how did you attempt something? It's quite a bold, if you ask me, it's quite a bold thing to do. So,
well,
how did it come about?
Yeah, it came about because 2020 was Panditji's centenary year. And I wanted to do something to mark that historic occasion. After all, arguably, he's the greatest sitar player that our country has seen. So I thought, of course, I'm a playwright, so I thought of writing a play. The problem was that what can you say? As you rightly said, what can you say that people don't know about him, right? I mean, he has been extensively recorded in profiles, interviews, full-length features, not only in India, but across the world. And then he has written 2 autobiographies. His daughter had already written her memoirs of him. The biography by Oliver Crast had not come at that time.
Okay.
So what I decided was, let me just put all this aside and think about what the man really was essentially as a human being. The music is divine, but the man is human. So let me look into the human aspects. And also, Chitra, I think when you look at the shadows, you see things that you don't see when you see the blazing light.
Yeah, also the vulnerabilities that they have.
Exactly. All the ambiguities, the vulnerabilities, the struggles, the difficulties, those times when he gave up everything. You know that he was on the brink of suicide at one stage in his life and remarkably came out of it. So let's look at, I'm not saying looking at the dark side. I'm saying looking at the nooks and crannies, the crevices, all the hints, all those things. And then finally you find a character who's kind of fully rounded and as fully rounded as a playwright can make him. And also presenting it on the stage is a huge challenge because you don't have the spectacle of cinema. You can't go chronologically as a movie can do. You don't have panning and close-up and, all those technical devices. Everything you have to think very differently. The craft of playwriting is very different. So how do you present his story, not chronologically and descriptively, but as something that is happening before your eyes, as if you were participating in that life, in that experience, in that adventure? Because he's a very adventurous man. So
a lot of this came about because you have been exposed to him as a child also?
Yes, I knew him as a child, and I then looked at him as a wonderful artist because he used to come home and play. That's what but I also happened to know Lakshmi Shankar, his sister-in-law, his brother's wife, and Lakshmi's sister Kamala, who was Raviji's partner for 24 years. So they shared many stories with me. So it made him come alive. I'm not saying that I took all those stories and put them together and made this play, but they kind of sink in, and then you start thinking, and then if you are a writer, you have to come up with your own ideas, right? And it's an interpretation. It's not the man. It's an interpretation.
So how did you pick these little anecdotes or little stories that you have put it together as a play? And if I know it correctly, I think 2020, you were supposed to go and take the play overseas.
Yeah. We were supposed to perform this play in the US, in 12 cities in the US in 2020 because it was a centenary year. But you know what happened in 2020? The pandemic shut the world down. So, and after all that, so all those years, I'm absolutely thrilled that I have a chance to present it now. And that too for a wonderful cause.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
For a cause like Reach. And I know Panditji would have been very happy because remember the most important concert that he gave in his life, as he himself said, was the one in which he raised funds for the Bangladeshi refugees. So he constantly did this kind of thing. You know, he was an art anyways.
Art and cause marrying each other is really a good combination.
Absolutely, because art is compassion. Art is understanding other people's difficulties, problems, and fellow feeling. So that was it. But to say how I chose these events, it was, I decided that these are the aspects of the man. Okay, he was extremely earnest, extremely serious, and then he was also the opposite. He was goofy. He was fun-loving, and he loved excitement, and he loved adventures. On the one hand, he wanted to go deep, 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 deep into Shastriya Sangeet or classical music. On the other hand, he was up for any adventure, He immediately said yes to this art film called Chappaqua, which is about an American going to Paris to kick the drug habit and then has hallucinations.
Okay.
I mean, an Indian classical musician would not score
attempt something like that.
Yeah. So he was up for everything, and he had a terrific sense of humor. So I thought of these aspects of the man, and of course, he was extremely passionate. So and then he admittedly he was restless. He peace was something that he knew in very brief moments when he played his music and touched the device.
That is right through his life.
Right through it. He was restless all the time. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I discover? He was so interested in understanding, he was so open-minded. And those are the qualities, I think, which make him very modern, Though he represents a traditional art form, he was extremely open-minded. Look at the collaborations that he did, right? I mean, he was a rock star. And, John Coltrane named his son Ravi after him.
Yes.
A jazz pianist. And, of course, we know about George Harrison being his disciple. We also know that the Rolling Stones created raga rock, after listening to him. This kind of, he had such an impact on them. And he's also had a tremendous impact on sitar players, traditional Indian, Hindustani sitar players also. So I think that is what makes him so impossible to pin down. So for a playwright, that's a challenge.
When it comes to Panditji, there has a perception of people and their impressions of him have also been a lot on his personal life. But when you come up with a play like this, I think what you're trying to do is to give a totality to the whole personality, the artist, the art, and the music he produced. So is that how it has worked out?
As you rightly said, if you're doing a play and you have a protagonist, a hero, you have to create that person with dimensions. And this is someone whom you have taken from real life.
Yes.
Someone whom everybody knows. So I can't create my own, Ravi Shankar. It is a man who everyone knew existed in this world as an artist and as a human being. So what I've tried to do is to look at every aspect of the man with the empathy, understanding, and create a persona who will convince you as someone who produced this extraordinary art.
Yeah.
So the man, it is a man who produced that art. So you cannot ignore that person, right? But how exciting it is to understand someone from the point of view of all the experiences that he had in life, going into his creative output. For me, it was very exciting.
Yeah. Do you remember any early conversations with him when you have?
Not early conversations. When I was young and he came home, I listened to him talking to other members of the family and other visitors. And of course, I heard his divine music up close. It's such a privilege. But as a journalist, I have interviewed him several times. And those are the times when he would say certain things with I love the way he spoke without reservations. He held nothing back. He admitted. For example, I asked him once. I said, "Do you have any weaknesses?" He says, "Yes, I do. I'm a very restless person. If I could be more collected, and if I don't stretch myself out, and if I go deep, I think I would have been a better musician." Then he stopped and said, "But that's not who I am. I'm someone who is looking at everything and wanting to know everything in the world. I love adventures. I love new experiences. I can't change myself. My music has to be what I am," he said, with great conviction. It's so sweet.
Yeah, that's really
And I think that those few words that he let fall, I think they gave me the basis for understanding the person as a character.
So when you talk about the character and you talk about the people who are going to be in the play, how did you pick on such people? Like, what were the criteria? It's not easy to play certain roles. So how did you get these people and put them in that appropriate?
The story of someone like Ravi Shankar, a kind of a colossus, a world,
It's exactly
yeah, a global icon. You really need to produce something like a Broadway play with the hundreds of people on the stage and musicians and changes of location and traveling across the world. It is not possible in Chennai theatre. Secondly, this is a play, and I cannot. I do not have the resources to create the kind of spectacular effects.
Like an extravaganza.
Yeah, but I think it's great because look at Iranian cinema. It's bound by so many rules and restrictions, but Iranian filmmakers make the greatest movies in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think sometimes restrictions push you to find
creative ways.
Yeah. So, and the theater also gives you a lot of techniques, and there are certain craft elements in theater which enable you to cut and slice and present and amalgamate in ways that cinema cannot. I used all of them. You have to come and see the play to see what those techniques are. And how I found the actors, that is actually, even when you're writing the play, this is a constraint that you have to know that I can write only what I can show. Okay, so to get back to the actors, I work with actors now. Actors with whom I worked a lot before, because I know what they're capable of. I know their potential, and we have a very good give and take relationship. And actors with whom I can be free to say what I want, and actors who will bring out the best from within.
And you know what they're capable of, what depth they're capable of.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of your productions, and all of them have always been with a lot of thought, with a lot of there's drama, there's color, there's a lot of things which is really enjoyable. Actually, a lot of your plays I have seen earlier. Really looking forward to this one, and more so because Bombay Jayashri has done, as you said, has done the music. To be able to do justice to a play like this with music, how was that experience?
See, you need someone to sing Pandit Ravi Shankar's compositions. I mean, we've used his compositions in the play. To sing his songs, I think you need a kind of, what shall I say, you should be able to produce both smiles and tears, in the music. And who can do it but Bombay Jayashri? I mean, I've worked with her a lot before, and I know that if she decides to do something, she will absolutely give all of herself to it, which is what she did. And she did it, I think, with great reverence, because she was singing the compositions of someone like a Pandit Ravi Shankar. Yeah.
So you will also be like a sutradhar in the play?
I make a very brief, a flash in and flash out appearance.
Okay.
Yeah. But there is Vidya Subramanian who plays a cameo role.
Okay. What is, according to you, as a playwright and as an observer also, we observe what we do too. So, what do you think is the most important part of this play?
The most important part of this play. That's a tough question to answer.
I think everything, isn't it? Every part of it has to come together.
Okay, for me, the most important thing in writing and directing and designing this play was this. It should not be the story of a particular artist living in a particular time, even if he is a global icon. It has to be a universal saga of human effort, human conviction, determination to realize one's dreams.
And also the great potential that you possess.
Yes, to bring out the best you can, to make the greatest contribution you can make, how much you push yourself to achieve that, It has to be a universal story. And also, I think people come to the theater and they see the essential loneliness of every human being.
Yeah, that's right. That's very true.
I think loneliness is a very important aspect of
Creation,
creativity, creation, and an artist. So I think making art is one way of getting over that loneliness and taking others along with you, making others also feel part of a community. Because art is a shared
beautifully put,
experience.
Because it explains the whole thing. For many artists, that's probably the main thing.
Yeah.
That you take people along in your solitary journey, you also take people along. I'm coming back to the original point about how this play actually came about. I mean, how did it come here and how are we doing it now? You said it's for a cause organization called Reach. And
yes, writing this play was in itself a kind of a, what shall I say, tapas nu solluvom. Tamil. Okay, in tapas is very badly translated in English as penance. Yeah, but it was a penance because it's all blood, sweat, and tears when you're writing.
Yeah.
But it was a penance has a higher goal, which is to understand life, understand the world, understand art, understand truth, and feel, I think, essentially to feel compassion. Because I think if you are capable of feeling compassion, then you're a human being.
Absolutely.
Right? So when we were supposed to when we were taking this play to the US, we did not have a cause to work for. Right now, we are premiering it after all these years, which I thought would never happen. But thanks to Reach, we are able to put this play on the stage. And
so Reach is an organization that works towards eradication of tuberculosis, right?
Yes, eradication of tuberculosis and the larger goal of equitable health for all.
Right.
So, I think it's absolutely wonderful that we are doing Enchantment for Reach because art is, as I said, about sharing. Art is about compassion.
Absolutely.
Art is about generosity. Art is about giving, about fellow feeling, understanding the hardships of others. And I think Pandit Ji would have been extremely happy to know that this play was being staged for this particular cause.
That's wonderful, Gowri. I would like to speak about many more things about the play, but I'm now looking forward to, as are everybody, looking forward to seeing the play and experiencing this whole phenomenon called Pandit Ravi Shankar. So, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you very much.